Hi there. Um, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's a real pleasure to be here today and share a little bit of what we're doing with SkySat and UP42 together with Jussi and you all. So without further ado, I want to give you like a little bit of an introduction about what is SkySat and what it can accomplish and do for you and your customers. So if you know Planet, you've probably heard this like a few times, but I will say again, like we're really driven by the realization that you cannot fix what you cannot see. And if you think a little bit, why does that matter? Well, I think we can all agree that the world is changing and it's changing like faster than ever before. And so like across, industries and geographies, organizations are all under pressure to make better decision, faster decision, more informed decision. And that is true whether they are tracking like illegal fishing, they are tracking like deforestation, and they're just managing their assets worldwide. So what we do at Planet is really like design, build, and operate the largest fleet of Earth observation satellites. And we do that to make global change visible, accessible, and actionable. What this really means is that our mission is to provide global intelligence to our customers so that they can make those better decisions. You probably know we operate like a few different constellations, but today we really focus our time on SkySat. So when it comes to SkySat, what we offer is it's three things. Like we offer like unprecedented frequency, the ability to collect data of your location up to multiple times per day to always have the latest information to base your decisions upon. It's a capacity that allows you to scale your business from, operating in a province at the regional level or national or even global. And then lastly, the transparency. Because like if your business is running on top of our data, you have all the rights to have control and visibility over the process from acquisition to processing to fulfillment. And I will say, UP42 takes this game to a whole new level with their platform, which is incredibly user-friendly. And I'm sure we're going to hear more later. So I want to show like a little video just to give you an idea of what the SkySat constellation is about. Like at this time, we have in space about 15 satellites. They are orbiting the Earth in what's called like a sun-synchronous orbit, which means they are taking images of the Earth always at the same local time. We do this like a couple of times a day, which allows us to have multiple revisits over each location in predictable and stable imaging conditions, which makes it easier for you to do analysis on top of this data. So for those who are interested in like what the satellite look like, they may look like a little like hotel room fridge. They're about 100 kilogram heavy. They're equipped with cameras that can image, at 50 centimeters resolution and can provide data in the classical red, green, blue, but also like near infrared and panchromatic. So this data set is usable and useful for a variety of uses, from like detecting objects all the way to do land cover classification or vegetation analysis. So through our partnership with UP42, you will get access to Planet tasking systems. Effectively, you have the ability to image every point on the Earth multiple times a day. You'll get the ability to take images or collection orders at guaranteed cloud cover conditions. And that capacity that I spoke with allows you to do your tasking at monthly, weekly, daily, sub-daily collection, depending on what your case is. And also, last but not least, like we have an archive of imagery that's over like 10 million kilometers square over, a variety of location of interest worldwide, which is an excellent data set that you can base upon, train your machine models, like do verifications with independent data set, and basically use it to like structure your applications on top. The SkySat constellation, like summarizing, like it really brings you like the rapid revisit, up to like multiple times per day, like great capacity so that you can scale your business across the globe. It can provide this data like very quickly after collections. It has a variety of imaging capabilities, including like stereo and off-nadir. And last but not least, it's quite transparent and simple to use. And that's basically all I have just as an introduction. I'll be happy to take questions as we go into the discussion here.
Thanks a lot, Massimiliano, for that brief presentation. Now the idea was to invite Jussi and Alex back on the stage so that we can have a brief discussion. Please post your questions in the chat. We will be taking questions from, and Jussi and Massimiliano will be giving their answers after the panel discussion and a brief presentation from Jussi as well. So to kick things off, I want to stick with you, Massimiliano, for just a second. You mentioned your appreciation for UP42. Do you want to talk briefly about what this partnership means for Planet? You are one of the biggest satellite data suppliers in the world. So how did this partnership come into play?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say for starters, like UP42 happens to be based in Berlin, where our European headquarters is. So they are literally just almost across the street, a little longer street. I mean, more seriously, like, yes, like, Planet obviously operates a very large fleet, and we have set up like a very comprehensive platform that allows us to do like a variety of things. It is also true that our setup today is very much geared towards perhaps more like enterprise sales type of solutions. And I think what UP42 has been very good at is to facilitate access to a variety of users to the point that you can very simply like go online and literally with a credit card task the satellites over your backyard. Not that this is necessarily the main use case, but the point I'm trying to make is they have done like an incredible amount of work to lower the barrier for people to get in touch, to be able to consume satellite imagery. And I think that really complements what we've been trying to do over the years. And that's, I'll say that's basically the motivation behind like us partnering together to take SkySat to the larger user community that we can.
So taking SkySat to the larger user community, plus the added benefit that you are also based out of Berlin, where UP42 is based out of. But you see that, I mean, besides location mattering, like Alex pointed out rightly, what does Planet bring to the table that UP42 doesn't have today? Also looking at your own organizational structure and your history as a company.
Yeah, so obviously, like Planet Data is complementing the offering substantially. We have a lot of different types of data sets, but still, like high resolution optical data is the most requested data set and a data category that we have. And actually, there are some availability bottlenecks on the market. So especially the large customers don't always find and then get what they need in terms of high resolution, good quality satellite data. And they don't get it when they need. So in this manner, like Planet's data, especially with the super high revisit rate, which is unique, and then also this vast archive, it's like really lucrative data set and an offering for our customers.
Mm-hmm.
So talking about the expanding offering, one of the things that we see clearly on the market is that the number of vendors, number of providers of satellite data startups in this field is growing. So I wanted to ask you, Massimiliano, so given this trend, how are you guys actually focusing on keeping this competitive edge? What are the ways that you want to lead the market further?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I mean, first of all, like the world needs this data. As we were saying before, like there is not enough data to really make sense of what's happening on the planet. So it's great to see that we have proliferation of different sensor types, from infrared to thermal to optical to hyperspectral. It's really like helping like the community at large to build like this very differentiated and detailed picture of what's going on the planet. As far as Planet is concerned, like we are big propositor of agile aerospace. So what we do is iterate. We strive to listen to the market, iterate quickly, build new technology, test it out in space, and bring it to production when it makes sense. You may have heard, a very recent announcement of first light obtained on our new hyperspectral mission, the Tanager. So that's an example of a new and differentiated capabilities that we're bringing to market. In this case, together with a partner, Carbon Mapper, which is like super exciting, to really allow for very detailed monitoring of methane emission worldwide. At the same time, we're also working on our next generation resolution mission, what we call it the Pelican, that has its development plan, and it'll be coming soon. And one of these days, I'll be happy to sit on stage with you and talk about that when we finally also hits the market with first light.
I mean, it's no secret to say that the two companies are pushing the market forward, right? I mean, you just mentioned a few examples of what you guys are working on, and it's juicy you were mentioning in terms of democratization of data and so on. So looking at you, Maximiliano, how does this whole aspect of cloud native data formats and standardization play a role in this partnership? Was this even a consideration that UP42 caters to the developer audience that maybe then also demands a lot of these cloud native formats?
I don't want to take all the air, but I feel like we actually found ourselves like very in sync when it comes to like standards for data interoperability. So I don't believe we actually had to negotiate a lot in terms of how do we exchange data across the organization. It actually, I think like we're using like some of the same standards, and I think that's a testament to the fact that the standards are valid, that the standards really allow the ecosystem to flourish and remove barriers to do things together. So I think that's a huge kudo to the open source community that build those standards, and we are happy to be part of it. But maybe just so you have a perspective on this one as well.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I believe that both the companies are kind of believers of open standards and have been pushing some of the initiatives forward, like for instance the stack specification, also the tasking additions to the stack specification. So I think we both believe that this will help to actually spread the use of Earth observation data and an integration with all different types of applications. And that's been like fundamental principle also for building the UP42 platform, to rely on the like open standards, but also then focus really on APIs to make the different types of integrations easy and powerful, and invest in that part of the platform. That's been always a kind of a differentiator for us.
It's nice to see a lot of synergy between the two companies. And before I hand over to Alex for the next question, I just wanted to encourage also the audience to keep coming with the questions. I'm sure we will find one point where they disagree. Let's try to find Alex.
So this one will probably not be about disagreeing, but rather sharing. So I mean, you are both working with the Earth observation clients in a little bit different way. So I wanted to ask you about the industries that are currently kind of mostly where you see the most interest in the Earth observation data. Maybe because of this partnership, but also perhaps beyond. So where do you see the biggest traction in the Earth observation domain right now?
Yeah, so we are, to start with, we are really focusing on the commercial market. So I'm leaving out now the defense sector and government sector, and really focusing on the commercial market. And then there, like we clearly see like a lot of interest and a lot of like opportunities, but especially like use cases that we have seen that have been taking off is really monitoring of assets. Monitoring of power lines, pipelines, railway tracks, and then also the situation around them, like the vegetation, the risk management around that infrastructure, construction monitoring, and then also like different type of environmental use cases, monitoring forests, parks, environmental monitoring, carbon offsetting, and then those are some of the examples where we see a lot of need. Also overall, like mining, oil companies wanting to understand like the oil spills and manage the oil spilling risk, and the use cases like this. These are clearly something that we have on our radar and where we see a lot of interest for observation data.
So a lot of environmental use cases from what I understand.
I think there's a lot of need, but then also like that combined with some of the like emergency response use cases, but then also like monitoring constructions, monitoring these assets, and then vegetation around those. Those are some of the like most important use cases that we see.
Okay, and Massimo, does it look any different for you?
No, I mean, like I think certainly like particularly in the highly complicated geopolitical environment that we are today, like defense and intelligence represent like a sizable, very sizable fraction of the market. It's always been the case, and perhaps even more given the situation. I think the other sector that is very important, that's very large, is like civil government applications of various nature. I think what I like to call out here is particularly in Europe, with all the regulations that have been put in place by the commissions and the national governments, there has been like a really good development or solution that help companies to be compliant, whether it's UDR or other sourcing regulations. It's very good to see that synergy where we have an environmental challenge that's ahead of us all. We have a government that defines regulations for companies to adhere to and manage the natural capital more sustainably. And then like we have industry like ourselves that can emerge and create solutions that cater to those needs. So I think that's a really nice development.
Let's stick with EUDR for a second, because that kind of opens up an interesting line of thought as well. I mean, governments traditionally, whether that's defense or whether that's environmental agencies that work for governments, used to be the biggest adopters of Earth observation in the past. Or at least it could be said that they were the biggest adopters. Do you see that the next wave of EO adoption, whether that's at Planet in terms of your customers, or whether at UP42 in terms of the developers and the solutions that are being built on, is being driven also by the new regulation? Do you see a significant uptick, or is this still not where you could say, okay, the regulation like EUDR is forcing an uptick in EO usage?
I mean, I would say it's starting. Those regulations are about to enter in effect. As we speak, there is even like discussion as to whether they're going to be softened and if and how. So I think it's like early to see like the impact in terms of like revenues that are being generated, but there is certainly like a lot of solutions that are being developed, and they appear to be like very promising. And so I'm optimistic that we're going to have the regulatory environment will be finally in place, and we will have the tools to make sure that we can manage to that environment and really like have more sustainable practices across a number of industries.
Yeah. I would probably like bet on more on actually commercial applications in short term, and see that it's just that Earth observation data is in some of the use cases so much better return of investment than for instance sending people to survey locations on site, or use some very local means like local drone operators. I think that is kind of in short term going to drive more uptake for some of the key use cases, just purely that it's more efficient and better return of investment in many use cases. But then I think over time, I think regulation can catalyst things and accelerate things. So I think it's probably going to give some kind of a boost, but in short term, I would more bet on some of the kind of commercial pragmatic applications.
Let's hope that it will accelerate rather than be a bottleneck.
Yeah, let's hope in this case
like it typically is. So I wanted to change a little bit the topic and kind of ask both of you, as sorry for saying it, but you, maybe also Mutu and I, as well, veterans in the geospatial industry by now. So I wanted to ask you, Massimiliano, maybe you first. You've been working in this space for 25 years. So like over those years, what is the biggest change that you've seen, and where do you see kind of the biggest opportunities going forward?
Oh, that is a great question. It's also remind me how old I am. But that's fine. That is fine. Yeah, it's a great question. Like, what's the biggest change? I mean, there is probably like a couple of things that I would call out. The first one is, when I started working on my first space program, data would come down in in megabytes. We would record it on a gigantic magnetic tape, and we would basically almost never have the ability to process, not to mention disseminate and analyze all the data that we were collecting from this mission. And that has been true like for a good 1 or 2 decades, maybe one. And like finally we have this superpower where yes, there are costs associated with it, but we have an unprecedented ability to analyze the data that's at our disposal and like do all kinds of products that really understand us to see what's going on where. The other thing that in my mind has changed like dramatically for the better is the awareness of what Earth observation means and it can do for the society, for the government, for the business. I think when I took on that project very, very long time ago, none of my friends had any idea of what the hell an Earth observation system was, not to mention, I don't believe I had any courses at university that would talk about remote sensing. And today it's like, it's actually something that, people would ask you and have a conversation about fairly easily. So I am excited about, Earth observation, like coming of age, so to say. I'm excited about, everyone, whether it's like people that have been in the industry for such a long time, like myself, or a lot of the newcomers, to actually demonstrate that we can turn this technology into an instrument that allows us to create business and allows us to empower more sustainable practices across the industries.
Sounds very inspiring, and also makes me realize that I also remember those times. You see, so the similar question to you, but maybe from a little bit different angle. So you have your background in here, right? So you've been heavily involved in the navigation and kind of map making product part of the business. So does it influence your kind of way of thinking, your approaching the markets, and thinking about perhaps different use cases and applications?
Yeah, interesting parallel. Let me think. Perhaps two kind of things come to mind. One is basically like when we are both like here technologies in the past and also UP42, we are offering this kind of a horizontal platform offering and service. And then when you are serving a lot of different types of customers and different types of use cases, what is important, I've learned, is to provide like flexibility and options and alternatives. Because like all the customers in different markets, they want to do things a little bit kind of differently. So like you need to have the balance of having a standard way of doing things and productizing things, but offer like different alternatives for two reasons. Just for kind of providing them the flexibility, but also I've seen that often the customers come and then start using one capability, or in the case of UP42, they start using one data set. And then they gradually learn about the opportunities and then expand from there. So I think that's something what I believe in, that there needs to be this kind of modularity and flexibility to basically try out something and then expand from there. And then perhaps the other thing and parallel I would draw is basically that in the early phases when like there is data available, like there are some kind of heavy user markets that are able to invest in using that raw data. They have in-house capabilities to deal with the data and do all the work in-house. But then if we want to really expand and serve a lot of different types of use cases and different types of customers, we as an industry need to work on making the data easily accessible and easy to use for the customers. So providing an easy access in like a consumable size of the data, and then also providing service APIs, interfaces, and tools to make using data as easy as possible. And that way we can expand the usage really from this kind of first verticals, like for instance for maps, automotive market was really investing in doing everything themselves. But if we want to expand from the initial like early adopter verticals, we need to really work on making the access easy.
I never thought that I would be discussing about magnetic tapes and satellite data. I don't belong to that generation, Alex. So you're on your own with other panelists. But jokes aside, I mean, looking at the future, it's always a bit difficult to predict where things will go, because I don't think back then when magnetic tapes were around that we imagined we would be talking big data. But I do want to have one question from my side, and then maybe Alex will anyway ask another question before we go to your product demo, Josie, and the questions from the audience. Where do you guys see the biggest potential? Where are you most excited about in terms of when it comes to the future, not just of the partnership between the two companies, but also in terms of your own organizations? Maybe, Josie, do you want to go first?
Yeah. I think for me, it's in the end, it's all about the customers and what kind of like things that they can build actually using the Earth observation data, and what kind of problems they can solve and what positive impact they can make to life on Earth. So I think that's in the end what's the purpose of this and what's exciting. And I think looking at this partnership, Planet has been always a company that's been pushing the boundaries on making data ubiquitous and frequently collected and available. So pretty great to team up with them on that mission. And then overall, like I think what we need to just do is to try to make the offering available not only for the GIS experts, but I think like the Earth observation data and the insights, they should become one like dimension of like business intelligence and a decision making across all the industries. Like it shouldn't be a kind of a separate discipline that some experts are doing as some secret science, but more like one dimension contributing to making better decisions in all kinds of businesses. I think that's what
that would be really a dream to have a dedicated Earth observation department next to finance departments and engineering departments in every companies. But yeah, let's see where we go there. Maximiliano.
Yeah, no, I think those are like great thoughts. You know, maybe I'll be a little controversial here, but I think like, you know, I think this industry will be really successful when not every company needs to have an Earth observation specialist, which is often the case today, unless like you are getting services from a company that is an Earth observation specialist. And what I'm getting at is the same that Jussi was saying, like at the rawest level, this data is incredibly complex and it's incredibly difficult to work with. But as we perfect the way we process it and we elaborate it and we abstract it, it becomes easier and easier to use. And I think what Planet is trying to do from our angle, and I think like UP42 is trying to do the same from a different angle, is really to make it easier for people to access this information, to leverage the investments that our companies have made. So when I look at Planet, like, you know, we're bringing like new and differentiated data sets to the market. We're also, you know, investing heavily in creating a platform that allows people to perform very large analytics at scale, because the nature of the data, it requires like the ability to process at scale those very long time series. And then the last thing is we're trying to build like great partnership with, you know, companies across the globe that can build on top of what we're doing and close the gap for that end user, whether that is in the, you know, power line management or into the, you know, construction site monitoring or in insurance use cases, like you name it, right? But it's really like so that the ecosystem can build on top of each other and like deliver more value to the customer.
I wanted to talk to ask you about something that you've also mentioned before we will jump to the presentation and then the next set of questions. Something that I'm personally interested in and something that I believe has the biggest unrealized potential so far in the Earth observation sector, namely hyperspectral data. Right, so it's something where Planet is heavily investing in. There is a big promise, but still only a handful of companies are really able to utilize this potential more widely. So, partnering with UP42 with the Geospatial platform like that, do you believe that it will kind of have an impact of how hyperspectral data are being used in a more broad manner? What is your take on that? And you see also, then I will ask you the same question.
Multiple questions, all very interesting. Like, I mean, for our own hyperspectral mission, like it's early days. We just got, you know, first light like a few days ago, where we are on one side still celebrating, and on the other side, like everybody heads down to go through the commissioning phase to make sure that the data is the best that it can look like, and that will take some amount of time. I think it's true. Like it's a new, well, it is not necessarily a new technology, but it's one that hasn't proven itself very much in terms of like commercial applications that have been built on top. At this time, like, you know, we're very focused on a specific use case where, you know, we're enabling our partner Carbon Mapper to have the data that's needed for them to, to provide the methane monitoring service that they want to provide. So our focus is very narrow. Like this is our key objective now. It's to enable that mission and make sure that we have a great product coming out of the door. And there is a lot of interest for that capability. So we're excited to realize the potential. And I think, like, to answer kind of the last part of your question, like, I think we're going to be successful with partners. So certainly, like, we're not gonna do all of this by ourselves. We're gonna team up with companies that have expertise and are able to take this data and turn it into a solution for various kinds of problems that the customers have.
Right. Thanks for that. So with an eye on the polls, because I had a look to see how many people wanted to look at the product demos and how many people were waiting for the audience Q&A. So I guess it's kind of time to give the product demo people in the audience the chance to look at how the integration works inside the UP42 platform. So I will kickstart the video, and then Jussi will walk us through it before we then go to the last part and take questions from the audience.
So let's take a look at how to order Planet data via UP42. So first, I'll go to a catalog where I can draw an area of interest or select one of the already uploaded ones. And on the left side, I can see then archive data available for this area of interest. I can select a category or do some filtering, and I find a nice SkySat scene from Planet. And I can visualize the quick look, no clouds. And I can also study the metadata about that scene. Then I see the price, and I select the preferred processing level, and I add the data to the shopping cart. And before confirming the order, I can still give it a descriptive name for the order. And then I click to order. And if I don't find the relevant data from the existing archive, or I want to acquire it at a given time in the future, I can then use tasking. So again, I can browse the available data categories or do some filtering there. And based on this, I decide to then task some SkySat data from Planet again. Here, I can draw the AOI, or I can select something from the AOI management, this time in Spain, and I start configuring the order. There, in the order form, I fill in some of the basic information for the order. I select the acquisition range, and then I can adjust some of the order parameters. Based on this, basically, I can see the price estimate for the order, and in the end, I can add some tags to identify or categorize the order. And then, basically, before submitting the order, I can still verify that everything is as I wanted, and I can double check the price estimate. And then the order goes for a feasibility study. On my account, I can see the status of all the tasking orders my organization has placed, and I can search for a specific one to check the status. Here I can download the detailed progress information of that order, or I can basically explore it on the map. And then here I can see the actual ordered AOI in blue, and then the data that has been already captured. And this kind of a visibility is super important, particularly for the customers who manage larger and more complex projects like this AOI. And once the data is delivered, all the data acquired by my organization is available in the data management section of the UP42 platform. And we are in Berlin, both. So let's see if my colleagues have acquired some SkySat data here. And yes, we can find a nice asset near our office here in Kreuzberg. So let's explore that. I can visualize the different spectral bands of that. I can download the data, or I can easily stream it to any third-party GIS tool with a URL. And eventually I can select this asset and then use one of the processing algorithms available in the UP42 platform to enrich it or detect some insights. So that was a kind of a quick demo on how to order Planet data via UP42. I would recommend you to go log in and then try it yourself, of course.
It's actually quite straightforward and simple, like Alex posted in the chat, because I remember ordering satellite data was not that easy. All right, thanks, Jussi.
So fortunately, it's getting easier and easier. I remember using UP42 for the first time 2 years ago, and it actually requires having some basic coding skills. This was a developer platform, so I mean, I also keeping that perspective. I think that you guys really developed great, and right now it's actually a no-code platform for enterprise indeed. So very impressive.
All right, with an eye on the time, also because Jussi and Maximiliano are based out of Berlin, and I don't know if anybody is in the call based out of Berlin. The weather is fantastically horrible today. So I guess they probably want to also at some point get back to their warm apartments. Let's get things started with probably a question that's more oriented towards you, Jesse. So the question is from Marco, how does the offering in the Alliance compare to services like Black Shark AI's ORCA software as a service and their partnership with Maxar?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a difference in the positioning, because I would say that Black Shark Black Shark AI is really focused on the processing algorithms, and they're doing great job in simplifying basic processing algorithms and analytics algorithms like object detection, and then making it very easy to use. So I think that's really their core focus there. Whereas UP42 is playing in a little bit different position of the value chain. Like our core focus is really trying to make the access to data across various data providers as easy as possible. And we are doing like the next step of harmonizing and the data from the different providers into a consistent format, pre-processing it, and then making it as much as possible ready for the analytics and downstream analytics pipelines. So I think we are like in the value chain a little bit like before the step that Black Shark AI is actually doing, focusing more on the actual analytics and processing algorithms.
Okay, thanks, Jussi. Maybe from your point of view, Maximiliano, is there any ongoing discussions with companies like Black Shark AI to compete against the partnership with Maxar, or is this not really in your focus?
Well, I mean, we are talking to like lots of partners all the time. I'm not able to comment on any specific relationship that we may or may not have, but yeah, we obviously we want to work with people, so we're always looking for companies that have interesting capabilities and want to partner with us, like our friends from UP42.
Okay, so while we are on the topic of questions that probably cannot be answered, let me bring up another one. This one is about revenue split by market. Is this something that the two of you could give the audience an insight into? How does the revenue split between the two organizations work? Is it organized according to the end customer, or is this not something that we will ever hear about in the public domain?
I think it's hard to, for me, it's hard to provide a perspective on Planet. It's broadly speaking, like I said, obviously defense and intelligence has, it's a large user of this data. Fundamentally, also because they're very knowledgeable, they know exactly how to use it. I think civil government is probably second in terms of their preparedness to adopt Earth observation data at significant scale. And I think commercial is, we see promises and we see some sectors and some organizations to really step up their game and become very large users. But there is a lot of work, I think, on us as an industry to do to make it easier for them to get return over their investments. And Yeah, so I'll leave it at that. I think like everyone can like go consult the usual studies on how the revenues are split across the market.
I can understand that. But luckily we have a product question, and luckily we have also the product officer from UP42 here. So Jussi, there's been a lot of requests for your analytics blogs.
Yeah. I see the question, and I think the answer in short is yes. Like we're looking into adding more and more like processing and analytics algorithms back on the offering and back on the platform. At some point, like 18 months ago, we just realized that and decided to take a step back and realized that we need to focus on solving the difficult and challenging and hairy problem that everybody in the industry was basically facing, who wanted to use data from multiple providers and multiple sources, of harmonizing the data and providing it in one consistent like format with the file types and metadata consistent in a stack format. So we wanted to focus on building that foundation first and harmonizing the data, and then now I think we're in a point when we start kind of gradually also adding back the processing capabilities to then benefit from that data pipeline.
Thanks. So another question from the audience, and this time it's from Peter, the new CEO of the Open Geospatial Consortium. Do you guys see this mainly as a business-to-business play, the partnership? Is this enhancing diminishing margins only?
I'm not sure I understand the second part of the question. I think like the first part, like I mean, I would say like, yes, this is like primarily a business to business situation, because you know, we are like kind of like at the early stages of the value chain, and what we offer, like, you know, it's not a consumer product. And I think there is a lot of value that needs to be created before like you have a consumer product that's powered by your observation data. You know, I think there are a few, but
yeah.
I might just a few.
Sorry, Jussi. So it was the question. What the second half of the question was more really in terms of, do you believe that it's going to lead to growth, or is it just essentially squeezing the juice out of the same orange? So do you guys believe that this partnership is going to grow the market?
I mean, I would say like, yes, otherwise we wouldn't be putting our energy in making this happen. I think the premise is that, you know, by having these additional channels and making it easier for, you know, for users to like get access to the data, we will create more opportunities for, you know, business to develop and eventually graduate into something much larger.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was after. Like I was just about to add that we're doing this for the growth. And perhaps just to add, like I agree, it's business to business play, but what we're trying to do is to make it as much as possible kind of a consumer-like experience for the end user.
Thanks.
In terms of usability.
Yeah, thank you. There are one or two questions maybe that we can't take right now, but what would be the best way when people have questions about the partnership or your products to reach out? Would be LinkedIn or the official communication channels listed on your website?
Any of the above.
Okay.
Just like reach out, let's talk.
Absolutely.
All right. So I guess it's time for us to close. So let's maybe, do you guys have any closing thoughts that you want to share with the audience?
I mean, I would say, first of all, like, again, this is like almost 7 p.m. In Berlin, in Europe. Like, it's great that we have, you know, this crowd gathering and finding time in their busy days to, you know, listen to our thoughts and like share their point of view on what the industry is, you know, is all about and is heading towards. So that's pretty awesome. thanks for that, and thanks to you guys for having us here.
Yeah, we should organize a meetup in Berlin so that we can meet in person.
That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, absolutely. Thanks everybody for joining, and like I would also echo the point that let's continue the discussion, because there are so many kind of great ideas. There are so many kind of use cases that people are working on, and it would be great to basically like discuss how we can solve those together, and what we can actually build together.
Okay. Before I hand over to Alex to close the session, I do want to say that the both of you and the companies behind it are really Geoawesome. And funny enough, we announced the nominations for the Global Top 100 Geo today. So with that plugin, I will hand out to Alex for his closing thoughts.
So no, with having a pop-up like this, I mean, I need to refer to what you are showing and invite everyone to take part of it. You can nominate your company. You can also nominate anyone else from the industry. Out of all the nominations, we want to create this year a whole geospatial ecosystem map with logos of all of the companies that would be nominated under specific categories. We also promise that we will tag every company that is nominated on LinkedIn. So just to give you a little bit additional push to actually do that. And out of all of those companies, there is a panel of great experts from the industry, a lot of names that you know, who will be selecting the top 100 geospatial companies, so the finalists of this whole program. And a closing remark from my end, I think that sort of partnerships that I do believe that, Peter, that they are growing actually the industry, because they are democratizing access to Earth observation data. They are letting different combinations of data, integrations with different tools, use cases, and so on. So I hope that this will be indeed a beginning of a great partnership for you guys, and perhaps a small milestone in where the Earth observation sector is heading. And I always cannot believe how much knowledge about the Earth, about different industries, about processes on our planet are hidden in this data, and they are still unexplored, and they will be explored towards our benefits in terms of business, in terms of environment, in terms of society. So this keeps me optimistic about where we're going as the industry. And me and Mutu, we are happy to support it and spread out the news and information and awesomeness from that space. So thank you guys so much for joining us today, and everyone on the call for keeping with us. You will find recordings of this session also available on YouTube in the next couple of days. So please share it with everyone who you believe could be interested. And we are looking forward to seeing you on our next event.
Thanks, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.